That day Jabari stood before the forbidden drum, the ancient wood warm beneath his fingertips. He touched it again, a deliberate act of defiance and destiny. This time, the drum did not just vibrate. It sang to him a song that pulsed through the very earth, calling him to uncover the long-buried truth of The ground trembled, a deep, resonant shudder that rippled from the heart of the forest to the edges of the kingdom. In the villages and city streets, the people of Zangora felt the tremor and looked up from their work, their conversations, their lives. A collective hush fell over the land as they watched a lone figure emerge from the tree line. Walking with a purpose that seemed to shake the world, it was Hadithi. He walked not with the stride of a conqueror, but with the steady gait of someone carrying the weight of a generation's hope. As he approached the grand palace gates, every eye was upon him. The guards, their spears usually held with unwavering resolve, now stood frozen, caught between duty and awe. The air crackled with an unseen energy, a tension that was both terrifying and thrilling. Inside the palace walls, Princess Amara watched from a high balcony, her hands clasped tightly before her, her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of its own. In her eyes, a storm of emotions raged: hope for a new dawn, fear of the coming storm. She had long suspected the secrets festering within the palace, the shadows that clung to her father's reign. Now, as she watched Jabari, a beacon of courage walking towards them, a flicker of that hope burned brighter. The forbidden drum, still nestled deep in the forest, began to glow with an intensity that defied the daylight. It was brighter than any star, more brilliant than the sun itself. Its light pulsed in time with an ancient rhythm, a mysterious song of the ancestors that echoed not just in the ears, but in the very souls of all who heard it. The melody was a tapestry of whispers, of triumphs and sorrows, of promises made and broken. It seemed to speak a single, powerful message, a prophecy for all to hear. The kingdom shall know its true heir. Jabari paused at the foot of the palace steps. He took a deep-steadying breath, the ancestral song filling his spirit. He was no longer just a man. He was a vessel for the truth. With unwavering resolve, he stepped forward, determined to bring peace, justice, and light to the land of Zion. As Jabari crossed the threshold of the palace, the drum's glow intensified, its light spilling from the forest and piercing the very stone of the royal chambers. Inside the throne room, King Baraka sat, his face a mask of panic. For years, he had meticulously woven a web of deceit to hide the secrets of his ascension, the truth of the royal bloodline. He had silenced whispers and rewritten history, all to protect his fragile crown. But a crown built on lies cannot withstand the light of truth. The drum's magic was more powerful than any wall or decree. Ghostly images, like ethereal smoke, began to rise from the drum's light, swirling through the grand hall. They played out scenes from the past for all to see. The people, who had gathered in the courtyard and now pressed into the palace, watched in stunned silence. They saw a hidden lineage, a rightful heir cast aside, a pact made in shadow. The expressions on their faces shifted from confusion to shock, and then to a profound, dawning understanding. They realized that the strength of Zangora was not in its gold or its armies, but in its integrity. They understood, in that moment, that honesty and courage were virtues far stronger and more enduring than any crown. Jabari walked through the silent, awestruck crowd, his gaze fixed on the king. He did not carry a weapon. His power was the undeniable truth that now filled the air. He approached the throne not with anger or vengeance, but with a serene calm that spoke volumes. He stopped before King Baraka, who now looked small and defeated upon his ornate seat. In a clear, steady voice that carried to every corner of the room, Jabari spoke. "The kingdom belongs not to those who rule by force or fear," he said, "but to those who serve it with truth and love." The words were simple, yet they held the power of 1,000 armies. They were the wisdom of the ancestors, spoken through a humble heart. King Baraka, stripped of his secrets and his power, could not meet Jabari's gaze. The weight of his deception finally crushed him. He slowly, deliberately, bowed his head, a silent admission of his failure, a surrender not to a warrior, but to the undeniable power of wisdom over fear. Across the room, Princess Amara's fearful expression softened into a radiant smile. It was a smile of relief, of Opi reborn. She looked at Jabari, and in his eyes, she saw not a new king, but a partner. She knew, with absolute certainty that together they could heal the wounds of the past and lead Zangora into a new era of hope, trust, and unity. Days later, the air in Zangora was different. It was lighter, filled with the murmur of hopeful conversations and the laughter of children. The elders of the kingdom, the keepers of its ancient traditions, gathered under the sprawling branches of the sacred baobab tree. This was a place of new beginnings, its roots deep in the earth, its leaves reaching for the heavens. They called for Jabari, who came and stood before them, not as a conqueror, but as a servant. With solemn reverence, the elders placed a crown upon his head. It was not a crown of gold or jewels, but one of woven symbols vines from the oldest trees, feathers from the wisest birds, and stones from the deepest riverbeds. Each element represented a sacred value: humility, service, and courage. This was a crown that did not demand obedience, but inspired it. Jabari stood beside Princess Amara, his equal in leadership and heart. They did not look down upon the people from a gilded balcony, but stood among them, as guides, as listeners, as family. As the last vine was woven into place, the forbidden drum sounded one final time. Its beat was not a thunderous call to action, but a soft, gentle pulse, like a contented sigh. Its whisper floated on the breeze, a final piece of ancestral wisdom for the new leaders and their people. When leaders serve with truth, kingdoms flourish. It seemed to say. A great cheer rose from the people of Zangora. It was not a cheer for a king, but for a future they would all build together, founded on the unshakable pillars of love, honesty, and unity. As the sun began to set, casting long, golden rays over the revitalized kingdom, Jabari and Amara looked out over the horizon. Their hands found each other's, a silent promise to face every challenge together, to nurture the seeds of hope they had planted. Deep within the forest, the forbidden drum, its duty complete, fell silent. The brilliant light faded to a soft, warm glow, its magic now woven into the fabric of Zangora itself. It left behind a legacy not of power, but of wisdom and courage for all generations to come. This is African Secrets TV. If this story of truth and courage touched your heart, we invite you to become part of our community. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this tale with others who love magical African adventures. The story of Zangora is far from over. Part 2 and Part 3 are coming soon in their full, epic glory. Don't miss the next chapters of Zangora's secrets. Thank you for joining us on this journey.